restaurant servers of Reddit, what is something all customers should know or do and currently don't? If your server is holding a tray of drinks or dishes of food, if it's that kind of place, in their hand while serving the table, don't take anything off the tray because the server likely won't be able to adjust for the wait shift differential in time, and what's remaining on that tray will likely go a fly-in. Had a table of 6 once where I was serving their drink order while holding the tray in my hand, and the guy at the far end of the table apparently couldn't wait an additional 6 seconds to get his crappy $2 pint of Bud Light draft and grabbed it while I was passing out the first pints, and the 3 remaining drinks went tumbling all over me and their table. Also, because I put the drinks in order of seat number, so I know who had what, some guy just started pulling drinks off my tray and got them all out of order, so I didn't know how to distribute them, and a lot of them looked alike. He asked me what they all were, and I just said well they were all in order. Now I don't know. Perfect answer, lol. Don't let your kids run around like freaking rabid animals. I worked in a ton of restaurants and even the high-end ones would have negligent parents letting their kids run around while I'd be carrying a bunch of hot entrees. My son can do quite the accurate imitation of me going like, TTH every time we go to a restaurant. Consider it a dress rehearsal for being a grown-up. Remember your manners and use them. This isn't loud, silly, messy time. It's quiet, mellow, polite time. He does that to his younger cousins. They actually listen. It's great. Okay, I love you and your son. That's so cute. Question for servers. Is it better or worse for the table to combine dirty dishes for you to pick up? I've received conflicting information. I always appreciated that, as long as it was done properly. Can you give me an example of improper? Not everyone does this, but don't snap at us to get our attention, we aren't dogs. I hate when people bang their utensils on the glass. Sometimes I'll walk away and act like I didn't hear it when they do that. Sometimes I would make direct eye contact before turning and walking away. Literally just be polite. You can get your way a lot faster and easier just by being polite. There is no reason for you to be rude to a restaurant server. It changes my whole day around having nice people after nice people. But please, for the love of God, stop asking me if I'm on the menu, stop asking for my number, or writing yours on the receipt. And no, I will not show you what I look like without a mask. It makes me incredibly uncomfortable when customers flirt with me. This needs to be posted on a sign in every restaurant in America. The people who do that won't care about a sign saying that. Before my daughter, I hated screaming kids. After my daughter, I hated screaming kids. If she acted up in a restaurant, we would go to the restroom or outside. If there was a total meltdown, happened once, got the food to go. Parents are responsible for their children's behavior. Let people enjoy their meals. That is from a customer and worker's view. I've done this before. My son had a meltdown after we ordered. Wife and I took the kids home, and my in-laws enjoyed their meal without us, at our urging, before bringing our meals to our house. I try to be extra respectful when the kids are with us, and leave a nice tip to make up for any disturbance we caused. I'd always do extra if my kid made a mess. They just seem to get crumbs and food bits everywhere. Oh boy, there's enough to write a whole book about that topic. Just a few examples. Quit stuffing paper napkins and other trash into glasses. Leave if your kid is obviously tired and bored as crap when they are running around or screaming their lungs out at 12 p.m. Understand that you're not the only customer in the restaurant, so at least be a bit patient. Don't look at servers as if you're about to devour them alive when they come out of the kitchen, or glare at them when other customers get served first. Don't snap or whistle at servers like they're some dog. Don't be a prick by being unnecessarily mad if about your food not being perfect, as the servers don't also cook your food. Don't give your number written on a napkin so that they can hand it to a coworker. They usually get hung up in the kitchen so that everyone can laugh at them. At least acknowledge the server when they greet you instead of acting like a pompous peen. And finally, if there was nothing that bothered you in your dining experience, tip the waiter. It's not owed, but it honestly helps knowing that their efforts were appreciated. The list goes on, but I think those are enough examples. Understand that you're not the only customer in the restaurant, so at least be a bit patient. I've never understood being impatient at a restaurant. If I'm in a rush I'll grab and go somewhere else. If I go to a restaurant I want to settle in, relax, take my time, enjoy the atmosphere, have a couple drinks, enjoy my meal, make an occasion of it. Like the French do. Especially on a busy Friday and Saturday night. No, we are not understaffed. It's just 8 o'clock on a Friday. Our ticket times and wait times are going to be longer. If you're going to switch tables, please let us know about it. I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but I remember where to put drinks and food, not who ordered them. So if you switch around, you're going to get asked who had what every time. I hated when people did this, because customers usually don't understand that if you want to sit at a different table, you will be in a different section and have a different server. The place I worked at had a beautiful view from the windows, so of course everyone wanted to sit there, and whoever was running that section would be the only one to make real money that night. That sucked. That's real crappy of the restaurant to not have a system in place to account for that, like splitting the section. Telling your server that you once worked in a restaurant as justification for some over-the-top request makes you look terrible. I work at a restaurant/cafe and we serve coffee. We are not a Starbucks or anything, so there's nothing too fancy, just your stock standard coffees. I had a lady come into the restaurant I worked at the other day and she ordered a half shot, decaf, caramel latte with 2 sugars, over ice, made with a mixture of coconut and macadamia milk instead of cow's milk, and she even said, "Oh, I work in hospitality, so I'm allowed to order complicated things. Lol." Then she asked if we could get her a bucket of warm soapy water so she could wash her dog in the courtyard. What? Alright everyone, we can all go home, this one takes it. Stop shoving your dirty napkins in your glass. Now I have to still touch the napkin while also putting my whole hand in your dirty glass. Also I now can't stack my glasses, which is pretty inconvenient. My first ever job, at 14 years old, was a dishwasher at a restaurant and I hated the breakfast rush because of all the syrup soaked napkins. Just leave your damn napkins on the table and let the employees do their job. We are way more likely to give you free stuff, make more food, or bring out extras if you kindly ask. I know, should be common sense, but sadly it isn't. And for goodness sake, if you're in the US, tip your servers and delivery drivers. It's the vast majority of their income. Additionally, if the food isn't good, speak up, kindly. Please don't sit there and not enjoy it, then take it out of the server's tip. It's likely not at all their fault and they'd much rather make it right for you than get tipped less. Emphasis on the kindly please. Even if you're asking for the smallest favor, be polite and don't act like you entitled to it. That's how you get a big no. Exactly. I once got an entire resort fee waived and free champagne by just being nice. I didn't even ask for those things, I was just kind. How to send an HTTP request. How are customers supposed to communicate with me, a server, if they can't even properly send an HTTP request? They need help from TCP/IP, switches, routers, and perhaps port forwarding, but we are all in it together. If everyone handles their layer, and nobody gets their food until they say the magic word, sudo. I worked in a busy restaurant in the center of London, and one of the common problems we had, that I've not seen mentioned yet, was people not waiting to be seated. Literally just coming in and taking a seat. If you do this, 9 times out of 10 we won't notice you. That means you won't get your menus, and because you don't have your menus on the table, the servers will think you've already ordered and basically ignore you. If you're unlucky enough to be noticed waltzing in and taking a table, chances are you'll be moved. Normally because that table is either dirty, booked out, or we have a seating system that means those tables aren't in use until prime serving, at which point they're likely booked out anyway. Plus, you instantly get put in the server's bad books because you've already been an inconvenience to us. I love when someone seats themselves at a dirty table and then bishes because the table is dirty. I had someone kick up a real bish fit about that one night. It was at a bar where I could basically say whatever the frick I wanted, and I was just like, yeah, no crap, it's dirty, it wasn't cleaned yet. No crap, you don't have menus, you sat yourself. Now go up to the podium and wait to be seated. Sometimes I miss that job. Please stop saying it was terrible after eating everything on your plate. Alternatively, can I get you anything else? Yeah, the winning lotto numbers. Holy frick, I used to hate that. Former busboy here. Don't deliberately leave your table a mess, because it's giving them a job. And it is much appreciated when plates and stuff are all stacked up in one spot. Also, please do not come in 5 minutes before the place closes. Groups of 2 typically stay an hour, and each additional person adds about another 10 minutes. So when a group of 7 people come in just before closing time, imagine my dismay when I have to wait around an extra 2 hours after closing time. This is partly on the restaurant, in my opinion. They should either set closing time to when they want people to stop sitting down, or point out a kitchen last call time. We aren't there to babysit. Please control your children when you're in a restaurant, and if you can't, you should consider not being in a restaurant. I'm talking specifically about families that let their child crawl around in the floor. Don't do that. When I was serving, I had a woman who let her child, roughly 4 or 5, run into the kitchen multiple times. You know, the kitchen full of fire and sharp knives and heavy hot containers full of boiling liquid. Like 3 or 4 times. Mom just sat there drinking wine and chatting with her friend. I didn't know this until I started serving, that most restaurants have standard tip out procedures for support staff. So whenever a customer didn't tip, the server ends up paying a little extra for their service. Where I worked, 4% of liquor sales to the bartenders, 2% of food sales to the kitchen, 1% of food sales to the food runner, and 1% of total sales to the host. So if a customer didn't tip, I still had to pay out up to 8% of their bill, depending on what they ordered. I always tipped, even before I worked in a restaurant. It just never occurred to me every time I saw discourse about not tipping servers, and that it's actually a bigger deal than just a / holes criticizing servers for relying on others to pay your wage. Is this America? Yes. Most of the places I worked, though, just had you pay out from the total of your received tips at the end of the day. Places that do it this way usually had a high number of servers that tried to underreport. Never frig with anyone who makes or has access to your food. As a line cook, I would never frig with anyone's food. And I'd flip if I saw any of my coworkers doing that. There's some crap that you just don't do. Damn right I curse crappy guests under my breath, though. Be polite, people. I hate that move is like waiting. Perpetuate the idea that line cooks mess with people's food deliberately. While that move emails a lot of other parts of restaurant culture, I worked at various restaurants over like 7 years and never saw that happen. Sitting in the restaurant after close. I've got kids to pick up from babysitters. I've got groceries to buy. I'm not staying past close. Luckily I've started kicking people out right at 11 saying cover doesn't let us stay open. Boot store supervisor here. We are gonna start doing that tomorrow, you absolute genius. If I hit your kid with the kitchen door, I'll apologize 1,000 times over, but won't feel bad about it. Or when they're doing zoomies at 100 km/h and smack their head on the corner of the table. I'm not a server, but I know quite a few people who are, and I would say that the main thing they complain about is that people just treat them like crap, or like they are subhuman. Honestly, if you just treat people like they are your equal and just give them some basic human decency, you will get a lot better service. And wait staff won't hate going to your table. Server, just use basic manners and common decency and you'll be cool with us. Most places have a tip out. A percentage of the server's sales go towards the kitchen/bar/hosts. Therefore if you tip 10% and tip out is 5%, the server only keeps the remaining 5% of that tip. If you tip 15%, then server keeps 10%. And if you don't tip at all, your server is actually losing money from waiting on you, which is very depressing for them. This depends on country. I think it's only like this in the land of the free. Showing up 10 minutes before a restaurant is closing is inconsiderate, and I don't understand how people can't realize that. As a server of over 15 years, I hate this thinking. If the restaurant is open, it's open. If you don't want guests to walk in 10 minutes before close the restaurant 10 minutes earlier. There has to be a line, and that line was established on the door. Now, don't take your sweet ass time, order, eat, leave. You definitely hold an unpopular opinion. I worked in restaurants for 7 years and had zero coworkers/managers with this outlook. Once you get through the beating of a crazy dinner rush and get everything clean and ready for closing, seeing a late night party walking up is the worst. Also, depending on where you are, these late night groups usually suck to deal with and are the type to linger after eating, be wasted arseholes, leave an enormous mess, not tip well, or a combination of / all of these. This was my experience in a seasonal tourist town. Most summer nights were spent dealing with these bastards who, half the time, let their garbage children run free and make more of a mess. Always tip on the amount before gift cards and coupons. BC, I work in a high-end chain restaurant in a tourist area. We get a lot of gift cards and coupons. A $500 bill can easily be knocked down to $100, but then people tip 15% on the $100. We owe tip out on the original bill, so after a tip like that, we actually owe money to the till. I cannot tell you how many times I've been screwed over. BC, we don't have an auto gratuity and I've walked away with crap tips despite having expensive tables. Jesus Christ, the American tipping system is genuinely criminal. I can't believe companies get away with not paying you a proper wage and pass the responsibility to the customers to pay employees as well as their bill. Tipping should make everybody feel good. It should be, hey, you've been awesome. Here's money to treat yourself, not I'm obligated to pay extra so you and your family don't go hungry. It seems dehumanizing to the servers and demoralizing to the customers. Not only do they pass the responsibility to the customer, they can automatically declare your tips as wages based on what you should have made on that table, not what you actually made. Nothing is free, you gotta pay, even if it costs 50 cents. Have you ever had someone use their wait time as an excuse for free stuff that is usually only 50 cents? I haven't seen it a lot, but it's still so annoying. Maybe not wait time, but they would say that it used to be free. Had a guy come in, and then after he ordered and paid, customers pay before not after the food, and he said he wanted tea with his food. I grabbed the cup and told him that'll be $1. He told me that it's free. I said it wasn't. This made him think I was new, and he asked me how long I've been here. I told him over 2 years. He didn't believe me and insisted that tea was always free. I told him for like the 10th time it wasn't. Never got his tea.